Hi, everyone. I'm Jody Schwan. I am the owner and publisher of Sioux Falls Business. Excited to join you for another edition of Talent Thursday. We do these in partnership with our friends at the Sioux Falls Development Foundation. So I'm joined as always by Denise Gazzetta, who leads talent and workforce development for the Development Foundation. And if you were with us last week when we talked with Brianne Maynor of Startup Sioux Falls, you know that we mentioned the name of someone who would be a terrific guest on this show. And lo and behold, he is with us today, right, Denise?
Absolutely. I think the
So
timing is perfect.
we're off and rolling in a new year here, and excited to welcome James Pyer, who is the Director of Marketing and Business Development over at the Empire Mall. Hi, James.
Hi, Jody. Hi, Denise. Thank you so much for letting me join you today.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this conversation. There's so much that we can talk about with James. And first of all, tell me a little bit about your backstory. Are you from this area? Did you grow up around here? How'd you end up in Sioux Falls?
Yeah, I grew up in Wagner, South Dakota. So if you go down to Beersford and then head west, you run right into it. It's about 2 hours away. My father owned a hardware store. My mom owned a restaurant. So at a very early age, I knew all about customer service and small businesses, and went to the University of South Dakota where I wanted to be a finance major. Found out about 2 years in, I wasn't really wanting to do that. So I changed to HR. And I moved from Vermilion up to Watertown, and I worked for a manufacturing company. And then that led me down to doing an internship at Raven Industries. I loved Raven, such a cool company. And their internship program was stellar. I mean, top notch, very in depth. And from there, finished out my HR degree and worked at Volunteers of America Dakota. So that's kind of how I got to Sioux Falls. And then ever since I've been here, it's just been such an amazing experience. Sioux Falls is a truly special community.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So one of the things, and Jody and I talk about this all the time, is how do we keep more of our native population here? And so it sounds like coming to Sioux Falls was a really good choice because you have not only found, through the graduate work, but also through the community, sort of that intersection of career, community, and cause. And I love that. So
yeah, I love hearing interns stay with the company. And I really appreciate companies that have a strong internship program where you learn a facet of different items, right? And so they immerse me at Raven. They really have a true, strong program where you're working on a project and you are really embedded with the work that they're doing, and you're not doing like filing or shredding or copying. You're truly working alongside, shoulder to shoulder with industry professionals, gaining that market knowledge, and then you apply it to what you're learning at an educational institution, whether that's at Southeast Tech or USD or DSU. And then you're applying that beyond that lifelong career of what you learned at your internship, that foundational knowledge at that educational place, and then where you're choosing to grow your roots for work-wise. And that's what I truly appreciate about Sioux Falls. There are some strong internship programs here, and I truly hope that a lot of students take advantage of those.
Random thought, but you would be such a fun person to intern for. I don't know if you have interns over there. You would be outstanding. I'm not surprised that you gravitated to HR. HR is one of those fields where I feel like so few people go into college thinking that's what they're going to get their degree in. They go in like you did, thinking something like finance, and then they end up either in college or after college transitioning into these HR routes. Was your first job in HR, or how did that work at VOA?
Yeah, so my first job, I started out actually in HR, and I was doing the recruitment. And at that time, they had seen some leadership shifts. And so I had kind of fell into fundraising. So some people had moved around internally, and some people, of course, had left. It's kind of the curse of a non-profit industry is there, usually is turnover associated sometimes. But VOA was so gracious enough to allow me to kind of do a dual role where I was doing a little bit of HR work and a little bit of development fundraising work. And then that fully transitioned on into a fundraising gig. And so what I did after that is I was allowed to work both in the foundation side, but also the regular program side. So I was fundraising for Rise and Shine and doing kind of the fun events. And then I was also planting the seed, growing longer term gifts that will be residual gifts for every year thereafter, which was really kind of a cool, you would work with large gifts and small gifts, events and non-events. They were thinking about doing a capital campaign that now had launched and is completed, but I had left. I actually been poached to go to the zoo in town, and so I left VOA. It was a hard decision, but the zoo came calling. They were running their brown bear campaign, and I had jumped ship and went over there. And what an experience! It's such a cool asset for the community. If you've not been to the zoo, I encourage you to go.
Yeah.
So cool.
And it just keeps getting better. And I give VOA so much credit, James, and I think there's a takeaway here for other businesses where they allowed you to try multiple things. They let you develop your skills. They were able to benefit too as you grew within the organization, even though you didn't ultimately stay there. And Denise, I think, that's a good takeaway for businesses, to make sure that we're not just putting people in a box, but that we're looking at how they might be able to contribute more broadly.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that really I think is going to transform our community, is really talking about transferring skills and how you develop talent and then allow them to grow, but then see them transferring those skills from different departments and different disciplines. Certainly, the experience that you had at Raven as an intern and what you were exposed to was multifaceted. So that's wonderful. But then you go into another environment that's nurturing, and they allow you that opportunity to grow and develop. And so now we're here. So that's perfect.
Okay, James, what was the most memorable thing you did at the zoo?
Most memorable thing was, it was called it was called Long Necks with Long Necks. So it was having our top one of our top fundraising events where you got to have brews with the giraffes. So we went out to the African safari, and you got to take a picture with the giraffes, feed the giraffes, but we also had adult beverages. It was an adult only event. There was no kids there. I have to preface that. I'm sure there's going to be people saying that's not very kid friendly, but it was some of. What's that?
It was cocktail hour with the giraffes.
Right. That was probably the most memorable experience. Zubu was fun. I loved it. We got to see some really cute costumes, homemade. Jungle Jubilee was another one that was fun. I mean, there's so many things that happened at the zoo that I honestly don't know, Jody, if I can pinnacle or peg one of them as kind of the antithesis of me being there, but it was such a cool experience.
It's funny because one of my most memorable things at the zoo was feeding the giraffes. So there must be something about, these like close encounters with however tall they are. I don't know. But I think in fundraising too, it's a hard thing to do. At least I think so. I mean, I think if you're naturally inclined to those roles, it's different. But for most people, it's not easy. It's not the first thing they think of to do. And yet, you can go now and look at what has happened as a result of your work. You can look at a brown bear exhibit or things like that. What is it about fundraising, about development that just clicked for you?
I loved connecting people with solving a problem. And I'm a people person. I'm an E to the nth degree. So I love going to events. I love hosting events. I love being a part of the Chamber of Commerce, being a part of the Washington Pavilion, and seeing the smiles of the faces, not only of the participants that are getting whatever we're doing, whether that's building a building or putting on a program, but also the joy and the fulfillment of a donor and the connection between the two, if that makes sense. So, this donor has the capacity to do something great, something good, and they want to make a change. And we have an issue or a need on the other side, and watching the two kind of fuse together. And it's just such a cool experience. And I so appreciate, still to this day, Dennis Hoffman, he's the CEO of VOA, allowing me to do that and be involved in the chamber and being a part of these associations in the community that allow me to kind of tell their story, but help them with a need or an issue or something like that that's on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Denise, don't you see a need for people with these skills, to the ability to help organizations fundraise? I mean, this is critical for a lot of paid positions, but also a lot of board positions where you're being asked to serve in a similar supportive type of role.
Absolutely. I mean, as I'm listening to James, I'm thinking about, because I was going to say, well, why not finance? Because we went to HR, but really you're talking about, good business acumen, coupled by data analytics and the analysis, and then people skills. I mean, that's really, and if you look at the top competencies today, the businesses are in greatest need for their own internal populations, he's describing it.
Well,
And it was nice that he had those opportunities because, I think about the differences between, a very sophisticated manufacturer, Raven, and all the different technologies that they use. And it's just so sophisticated and so top notch. And then you go to a nonprofit and you get something else there, right? You get really that tie to the cause, a lot of good leadership and people skills. So just a recipe for success.
I remember you, James. I remember your name when you were at the zoo. I think was the first time I heard your name, but we definitely became friends in your next role when he evidently realized that my friendship can be gained through a box of Thin Mints because he was at the Girl Scouts in a similar business development role before moving on to the Empire Mall where he is today. And just, I really think, the community got to know you so well in that role and you did so many good things. And so it was one of those deals where I was kind of sad to see him move on. And yet selfishly, when he landed at the mall, I was like, I get to work with him all the time now.
We're thrilled.
What was it about the mall that seemed like the right next move for you, James?
The mall, when I saw that position, I was encouraged to apply for it. And then I had met Dan Geese. He's the mall manager. And when you meet someone that's as authentic and as kind and as genuine as Dan, it really drew me in. And of course, our mall is a very strong mall. We have some of the first to brand market brands here. It sees millions and millions and millions of visitors every year. And I saw myself there doing some really cool things that we've launched so far. So we've brought new programs, new brands. We've made some really big announcements. We have more announcements on the way. But I saw myself take so it's a marketing and sales degree, which is completely different than what I've ever done before in my work history. And I wanted a new challenge. And so it's a very challenging role, but it's a very rewarding role. And you see I work from everything with businesses to visitors, to shoppers, to community leaders, to development people. And it's just such a fun, everyone's like, oh yeah, my day is always different, but truly my day is different every sense of the definition. Might be talking to retailers one day, shoppers from another state another day. Jody's calling me about an announcement the next day. It's always different. I love it.
We're all on the same day.
Yeah, that's good. Or all the same day.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's been really fun to watch you grow in that role and be exposed to so many different things and to see, you landed in a difficult time. I mean, malls was not an easy place to be in 2020. I'd never seen anything like it, where the entire thing shuts down. And yet this market seems to have rebounded so well coming out of that. And as you said, I mean, yeah, we've had closings, but that's retail. I mean, that happens. And it sure seems like for every closing, we've got at least one opening, if not more. And like you said, including some of the first locations for some emerging brands, which I mean, says a lot about Sioux Falls. What has made you excited in the mall here, in recent weeks? What's bringing people in?
I love Anthropologie. That's probably one of our most talked about brands. I see Denise is celebrating. Yeah.
I love it.
We really love spandex in Sioux Falls. So Lululemon, Athleta, Offline by Aerie. Those are some big brands, hot brands that people talk about. The Buckle, of course, that resonates well with kind of the younger demographic. They do really well, but all of our brands do well, honestly. We've seen numbers that are very comparable, if not beating 2019. And we're only expected to see even greater numbers as we march into 2022. In fact, some of our events, the Back to School Bash, we had Malloween where we had over 3,000 people. Now, let me tell you what, 3,000 kids came through the mall for Halloween. We've never had that before until this year. Our Santa set's seen the most number it's seen in years. So people are out. South Dakota's open. They're ready to get back to normal, whatever that new normal is. But we're busy. You go out to the mall anytime on a weekend, or if there's a conference, concert in town, we're hopping, we're buzzing, and no other place to be than the Empire Mall.
except you need workers, right? And I'm glad that we're talking about you in a retail career here, because we have college students who watch this show. We have others who are looking to maybe make a career change. What kind of retail career opportunities do you think there are in Sioux Falls?
Yeah, if we had a magic wand, right? We do here, that's probably the number one thing that is considered when when they look for a brand to come, is where are the workers? Can we support this new brand? And the current brands we need as well. What is really nice about retail is you can have it be a part-time job, a PRN job, just come in maybe on the weekend. You can have flexible hours if you want to just stock shelves, or maybe work a couple hours when you have a day off. That's also an opportunity. We've seen some of the brands work together where maybe they work one day at one brand and another day at another one, just to try to help fill slots. But we see a lot of college students. We see a lot of people that maybe have taken some time off, maybe are looking for their next thing, and then this is like their bridge. And we also see a lot of staff that are long time looking at management. There's a lot of management opportunities. You can grow within the company. I know specifically some people at some brands that are moving up in the corporate world. They do really well locally, they're noticed, and then they move on and move up. So we're looking for a little bit of everyone, but yeah, that's kind of, we're feeling it just like everyone's feeling it, no matter what industry. Healthcare, education, construction, retail's right in there with them.
Well, and you actually, yes, you work for the mall, but you really work for Simon Property Group, the owner of the mall, a huge company, which I would think also offers you some interesting experiences and exposures as you learn more about retail. Do you have any openings on your team right now within Simon and Sioux Falls, or are you pretty much full?
So we contract out some of our services. I know housekeeping's big. I've talked to a lot of industry leaders about some solutions, but everyone's looking for housekeeping. Of course, that's probably the one that we're needing the most. But within Simon, there's always something that you can go to their website and see if you want to relocate. As locally, we don't have anything available now. We do uptick a little bit with some seasonal help once we roll into fourth quarter and we start to welcome Santa back in center court. We sell a lot of gift cards. Gift cards are really big at the Empire Mall. And so we always need additional assistance there. But as of right now, I would say housekeeping is our number one opportunity to work at the Empire Mall.
Yeah, Denise, from where you sit, I know you hear about a lot of retail needs as well. I mean, just across the board, but so many of these skill sets transfer too, right? I mean, customer service is obvious, but you can have an accounting background, you can have an HR background, you can have a marketing background, and find a fit in retail and in leadership.
Absolutely. And I love the, so one of the things we talked about a couple of weeks ago at our recruitment council is that people are really rethinking internships. They're rethinking candidates. I think we're talking here about people rethinking employment. And so, because people are looking for different types of experiences. And so, as much as when I was in high school, I loved my retail jobs. I had so much fun. I never really thought about sales, but really I was pretty good with working with people, which should have been a sign that I would be good at working in sales. But there's a lot of things that you can see because it is so multifaceted. And it's really for people that are active and they want to really get out in the community. It's a great place. I would always recommend retailers, and a lot of the stores, especially the stores we have here, they're great national brands with a lot of upward mobility. So don't be thinking that you just have to be a high school student or a college student. You may be, in the middle of your career and decide, you know what, I want to work all day long with people. And that's okay. Talking about your first question about those skill sets, one of the things that you develop really well when you're working with people is your professionalism, your soft skill development. You can really hone that. And anybody that's ever thinking about going into sales, especially corporate sales, I would always say start with a retail sales job, see how you do, and then build upon that, because those jobs, very competitive, hard to get, but really very, very fun for the right personalities and the people that are willing to invest the time. So
yeah, no, great points. James, I want to come and talk a little bit about community involvement, because I feel like you're sort of wired for this. I looked up your resume ahead of this. Oh my goodness. USD. James was like Mr. USD while you were in college. It seemed like you were highly involved. I know you're still involved at USD. But you know, you're from Wagner. That's not the most obvious path to Sioux Falls. I don't know how many people you knew in Sioux Falls when you got here. So how did you go about connecting to the community, and what have you found to be particularly rewarding?
Yeah, I knew no one. I knew no one. I knew no one when I went to USD either. And it was a shock, like you had mentioned, to be Mr. Dakota at 2011, my junior year. But
So you
what I
literally
did when,
were Mr. USD. I was
well,
right. Just
yeah,
looking.
I was.
Okay.
I still have the crown somewhere. Well, I should have dug it out. What did I do when I moved to Sioux Falls is I got involved with YPN. Dennis Hoffman, again, going back to Volunteers of America, allowed me to be a part of the chamber. And that just, I started at, you know, I just put my tip of my toe in the pond, got maybe do a couple mixers. That only grew going forward. So then I went from YPN to regular mixers to becoming a diplomat. And then now then I kind of branched off. And then I did, now I'm part of the Washington Pavilion Performance and Arts Board. I'm on the Sioux Falls Arts Council Board of Directors. I'm on the the Sioux Empire United Way Board of Directors. I went through Leadership South Dakota. And so kind of opening one door and then knowing some people and then finding what my passion was, which was art, performing arts, community, and then trying to say, how do I become involved in this organization, and just having conversations. And having my employer be okay with me doing all of these things is also something that you have to talk about, because I'm involved in a lot, like you'd mentioned. So there are some days where I feel like I do nothing but board meeting, committee meeting, next board meeting, mixer.
You like to be busy too. I know this.
Yes, I do.
I was talking to him on the phone. I probably shouldn't even share this, but whatever, I've already started. You literally like ran out of gas one day because you were so busy. He didn't check the gas gauge.
I did. So embarrassing. So I had to call AAA. Oh man.
I was on the phone at the time. It was memorable, but I was like, how'd this happen? He goes, because I'm busy, because he's that involved doing things. But what would you say? We have a lot of people moving to Sioux Falls. They're just like you. They didn't know anybody.
That's
And
right.
what would you tell them about what it's like to try and get connected here?
Get out of your comfort zone, go to a couple mixers, whether it's a mixer or some sort of association. Maybe it's Rotary you want to be involved with. Maybe it's a professional organization that you want to be involved with. And don't be afraid to just put yourself out there, make connections, go to things, be involved. I also have to attribute a lot of my success to mentorship. I had a formal mentorship with, he's now the CEO of Dakota Abilities, Nathan Stallinga, but when I was in fundraising, there's a professional organization called Association of Fundraising Professionals, a lot of words. But through that AFP organization, they allowed new growing fundraisers partnered with maybe some seasoned professionals you can bounce ideas off of and have coffee. And Nathan was wonderful. He did wonders. Such a smart guy. I still connect with him to this day. But as I went throughout my career and as I jumped from industry to industry, I got different mentors. And so now I feel like I have this collective of mentors, and I can call them based on what I might need help with. If it's marketing, it's maybe Mickey Lundeen. If it's fundraising, maybe it's Nathan. If it's maybe news, I'd call Jody, right? So I have all these mentors, these great people that are in the back of my pocket that I could reach out to and say, I just need a little bit more assistance or help with, can I bounce this idea off of you? And they'd be happy to do it.
And that is, we hear that. That's one of the things we hear from the majority of our guests, right, Jody, is that our environment, this ecosystem is so collaborative and so just willing to help. I mean, that's why Forward Sioux Falls is such a success, because these businesses get together and they say, we want our community to grow. We're seeing great things with diversity, and we're all here to help each other. And that truly, coming from the East Coast and not from this area, that is a welcome change. And one of the reasons why I think we do attract a lot of newcomers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's been fun to watch James kind of grow in these different roles and different opportunities too. And there's so much more ahead for you as well. I should mention that you continued your education while you were in Sioux Falls as well, right? Earned your MBA. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I earned my MBA. I did that at night. So I knew I wanted to do it. I didn't want to go for my MBA right out of college because I truly didn't know what I wanted to do yet. And so they give you that option of doing maybe an extra year and just getting your MBA checked off. But then I just started to work a little bit and figure out what the next kind of thing I wanted to do. And then USF came knocking, and I looked at it and I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm just going to get so busy in the future. I'm never going to find time to do it. So I pulled the trigger and I did night classes. It took me 3 years. But what a great experience, because one nice thing about the USF program is it's not the same class every time. So I got to know a whole bunch of different people that I still stay connected with. You know, some work at First Premier, some have moved on and moved out of the state, but just a great cohort of people. And then at the end, you all collectively come back together and you graduate and walk across the stage. But I recommend, if you're thinking about doing it, do it in some form, whether it's your associate's degree, your bachelor's, master's, or maybe doctoral. Do it. Don't wait. Just start small. Just start chipping away, one class at a time, and you'll eventually get there.
And that's perfect advice, because that's one of the things we talk about, and it is so true. And you probably are going to continually tap back into USF or Augustana or anywhere, because we have such great universities, but that's that continual kind of reinvestment in yourself, which is important. So it's so good to hear. We could not say enough nice things about all the universities we have. We are so blessed, and that's one of the things coming to the state is we do have a really good Board of Regents and really great universities for our talented people to attend. So we're fortunate.
So before I let you go, I guess I'm just curious, where do you see yourself going? Do you have some things you'd still like to tackle here in Sioux Falls? Maybe there's some ribbons you'd like to cut on some long-awaited retailers coming to town. I don't know. But
I have my whole list, James. I can share it with you.
You know, yeah. What's ahead for you, do you think?
I love when people say, "Hey, this is the brand you should bring into town," and that leads to a 20-minute conversation, because it's never one brand; it's usually a whole bunch of plethora of brands. That question, I appreciate it, I hate it at the same time, because if I would have put my blinders on and I would have said, I want to stay in HR, and I want to be, I want to get my associate or my SPHR, and I want to be the VP of HR. I never, ever, ever would have went into fundraising, which would have went into now retail and marketing and business development. So I don't know. I hate dodging the question, but if I say I want to do this, then I put my blinders on and I let all of these other opportunities pass me by. And so I get offered a lot. I don't want to say that conceitedly, but everyone's like, you should join this board, or can you help me with this fundraising campaign? Or I used to say yes a lot, and now I've started saying no a lot, just because I want to be fully engaged and immersed with what I'm saying yes to. And I don't want to be one of those board members that just puts their name on it and doesn't do any work. So I want to continue to be connected with the things that I'm passionate about, which are arts, bettering the business community, bringing talent here. I want to make Sioux Falls the best it can be, whatever that means, by helping out with whatever I can. And I also want to make the Empire Mall the #1 tourist destination in South Dakota, which we are, but I can't lose to Mount Rushmore. So I got to keep pushing forward, and we got to keep holding events and bringing brands here, because we are the #1 shopping tourist destination in the state of South Dakota. And I would hate for that. It's not going to happen, but I would hate for it under my reign to say, Mount Rushmore, beat you out, man.
Oh, I don't see that happening, but you won't let it happen. And I think your point is well taken. And I hate that question too, actually, because I never had a good answer for it. But actually what my answer was that, I just wanted to keep learning and keep building relationships, which is exactly what you have done. And it's your relationships that have led to these opportunities for you and your growing skill set. So I just think there are probably some fun things ahead that we all don't know about yet, which is a good reason to stay in touch with you, right?
I wish I could tell you more. There's probably, I can tell you a healthy 6 more announcements that are going to come this year alone. Some of which might be bigger than some others, all equally as important. They're all
That's all
going to
we know for
benefit
now.
South
It's only
Dakotans.
February. You just wait. There's probably even more. So, Denise, what do you think? Any other questions for James?
No, I just delightful. And thank you for joining us today. I mean, it's so, we thought we were going to get heavy into all of these trends and all these concept stores and all this stuff. But you know what? That's all great things, but it's also to know that, really there's so much fulfillment. That's the takeaway for me, is this is really about fulfillment and enjoyment. And that's key. People will choose jobs based on just that, whether they like the culture, whether they feel valued, whether they feel respected, whether they feel like they're making a difference. And so I would just encourage all of our readers, if you're looking for a job, those are things, to kind of make sure they're on your checklist. And if your employer kind of looking for next talent, think about, how you can build more of those experiences, because James just gave us really the playbook. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. As always, we will be back with you with plenty more Talent Thursdays ahead. If you have any suggestions for people you think might be good for us to hear from, as we came up with James last week, you can always comment, let us know, reach out. DeniseG@SiouxFalls.com, right, for all of your workforce questions and to get connected to all of the resources that they have for you. Whether you're a business leader or someone looking to advance your career here in Sioux Falls, reach out and they will get you connected. Thanks as always for watching. Thank you, James, for joining us. As always, so much fun to talk with you and to learn more about your story. And we will be back with you on a future Talent Thursday. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.